That is going to simply a cover for we're going to ration access to health care and we're going to off granny. But we can't tell the American people that, can we, Bob?
No, we can't. And you and I and our wives are included.
Well, simply I think what's going to happen is we're going to develop a parallel system for the people who can pay, and for the people who can't pay, well, they're going to be in real trouble. And instead of having Christian charity like we used to have, now we have entitlements. And what it really means, you're entitled to a poor care or no care at all. And you're going to have to get back to the idea that you're responsible and your family's responsible for you. We need to start taking care of one another. Back here. Well, this is Dr. Stan. Bob was just telling us his opinion of what's going to happen as a result of government interference in the healthcare delivery system. Go ahead, Bob.
You know, I think we got a chance here in November to get rid of the incumbents, particularly the people who voted for that bill, which happened to be all Democrats. And I think we might be able to gain some traction in time, assuming that we do get rid of a whole lot of them, maybe a third or a half or whatever. If that doesn't happen, or if it does happen and we get nowhere, within a year or so, you're going to see terribly big demonstrations and probably violence and probably a revolution.
Well, you know, because basically the state pensions, most of them are bankrupt. Here in California, I think it's somewhere between 60 and 90, I've heard the figure, $90 billion that they're behind as far as their PERS or teachers' insurance. They just don't have the money. They want the state to put up more. The state doesn't have any money. They're going to have to start cutting back on the benefits for the state employees, and they're not going to like that. They're going to be demanding it. They have a right to it. And we've got this whole idea that people have a right to be taken care of by government without understanding government doesn't have any money itself. It has to take away from the people. The people aren't going to want to pay more taxes. The government employees are not going to accept any lower salaries or any lower pension benefits. And pretty soon we have a clash between the two. And that's what they want, to play one group against the other. But you go right ahead.
I think that it will be in process. Do these programs start in 2014, or they start immediately?
Basically, they all begin at different times. I know one of them where they increase the amount of money that the Cadillac health care plans are going to have to pay. They put a tax on those. They're not going to go into 2018. They're going to try to bring this in slowly. And so they're not going to limit the access to Medicare, for a year or two, try to get at least through the November elections. But down the line, they really want to kill off the elderly. That's what these healthcare boards are about. These are what the death paddles are all about. And believe me, they're not imaginary. They're really real. I mean, the man who really, one of the major architects is this Zeke Emanuel. I don't know how many of you saw the 60-minute program last night, where, of course, they interviewed Zeke Emanuel and his brother Rahm Emanuel, and they're both such nice people and laughing and sweet and lovable. Zeke Emanuel has openly said we should do away with the Hippocratic Oath. The doctor's obligation is to society, not to his patients. The doctor's obligation is to society, not to his patients. We should do away with the Hippocratic Oath, and, well, there's some people who think that we might be a lot better off without Zeke Emanuel having offices very, very close to the White House, and his brother in the right next to the Oval Office directing American policy. These are evil and, in my estimation, wicked people who really have no respect for human life.
Well, you're absolutely right about that, and we've carried a lot of information on Zeke Emanuel and the International Forecaster, and that last two administrations and now this one are just loaded with these evil, evil people, and they're not going to go away. They're going to do what they want to do. And there's no constitution left. They don't follow it. I mean, look at the voting procedure that they used. I mean, you got to be kidding me. Nobody knows what's in the bill. And I don't, I think there'll be a lot of challenges. And how long that'll last remains to be seen. But I'm sure that they'll just say, well, incumbent upon the Supreme Court making a decision, which they will own by them then, with a new slate like FDR did in 1936, they'll say, no, it was legal, and all you people have to do what the government tells you to do. And so I think that's where that all is going.
Well, but you remember the Supreme Court checked FDR when he wanted to establish a fascist society under the National Recovery Act, the NRA, and other things. And of course, FDR had to begin packing the court with his own people. Fortunately, it may very well be that the Supreme Court just might hold this whole thing unconstitutional, which it is. Going to be interesting to see, and I think we should appeal that immediately to the Supreme Court, and I think a lot of the states are going to do that. I know Idaho has voted, and the governor has signed a bill to say this is unconstitutional, and the health care bill, the Kevorkian health care bill, cannot be introduced in Idaho. I think a lot of states are going to follow suit. I think this is a wonderful time to begin teaching people about our Constitution, which is their only protection from despotism.
Well, I think you're right, and where it'll all go, I don't know. We've always received requests at the Forecaster from people who were fed up and wanted to leave the country, and many of them have. But in the last 3 months, they've grown exponentially. And now we're getting several every day, and that's unusual. In fact, before this program today, I talked to some people in Illinois who were contemplating that. And, for elderly people, they're probably, if they can stand it, better off in a foreign country that you can get affordable medical and dental care, and it's not super expensive to live. And I think you're going to see an awful lot more of that.
But, Bob, the battle for the survival of Western civilization is here. And we need to have good people stay here and join us in this epic struggle for the survival of Christian civilization. If America goes down, the whole world goes down. I don't believe there's going to be any safe place to hide. So I encourage people to stay and to fight if they want to leave. Sure, well, there's always cowards from any battle. But, certainly we expect our boys to fight to defend our country. Well, anybody at any age can be involved in this battle. And certainly you've been involved in it for the better part of 50 years, as have I. And what a wonderful opportunity as we're approaching the end of the battle. If we turn tail and run, who will be there to stand and man the pulpit? So, well,
I'm just telling you what some people are saying.
I know, but I think
they recognize the problem, and some people are tired. You get tired when you're old.
I know, but Sidney, I hope not. And I talk to people all the time and say, oh, we're already lost. Well, of course they're lost because they are not fighting. Those of us, I'm more optimistic I've ever been. I see more people becoming aware of something's wrong, and they need people like you and me and the others there to tell them what's going on, to explain to them about the Brotherhood of Darkness, to explain them about this spiritual force behind this whole movement. And they're never going to learn about this if there are not enough good people who care. If there are not enough people who care, we're going to lose America. If there are enough people to care, why, Chris, we can save America, because there are very, very few people on the other side. But go ahead, Bob.
Well, I think you're right. Just that there's a climate of change out there, and where it's going to lead us, I don't know. I would like to see the unseating of most of the incumbents. Maybe that's expecting too much, but even if we lost a third or half of them, That would be pretty good. And maybe in the following year to a year and a half, maybe before they get paid off, that we might be able to get to them to reverse legislation. It's not easy to do, but it's possible. It's the only avenue we have left.
Yeah, I understand. Well, certainly many things are happening on not only here in the United States, but certainly over in Europe. My understanding is that Jimmy Rogers, an international financier, I think he used to be in with George Soros, has said that the European currency is simply going to be destroyed here in another couple of years. The euro is not going to exist because so many of the European countries are literally bankrupt. They're in default. There's no way that they can continue to operate with the massive debts that they have incurred.